Good Wednesday morning, my dear Christian brother or sister, in the middle of this Easter Passion Week. I hope that you're having a wonderful week. I hope that you're looking forward to, of course, our service on Sunday, at least as much as I am. But more than anything else, as always, I hope that you are living your very best life in Jesus Christ. Well, as I was recording this the first time after I messed up several times, I have had a nice big piece of Nancy's sugar-free banana bread. Of course, she replaces the sugar with Splenda, and the other day I was pondering how I would ever stay on my diet without Splenda. Look, I admit I have a serious sweet tooth. The hardest part of any diet for me is giving up sweets. And I don't mean necessarily ice cream or that type of thing, but mostly cakes and desserts and so forth. I mean, come on, folks. You know how good the ladies of our church are at baking marvelous desserts. I can't think of one of these wonderful Christian sisters in my mind without remembering something fantastically delicious. So you see, I really crave sweets, and it gets especially difficult when I'm on a diet. That's why I'm quite thankful for these imitation low-calorie sweeteners. But come on, we have to admit, there's nothing like the real thing. Sugar just tastes so good. Imitations in almost every area have gotten better and better over time, to the point where it's nearly impossible to tell the difference between that artificial plant on your neighbor's desk at the office or a real plant. And I have learned, to my chagrin, to be especially cautious in my wife's Aunt Donna's kitchen, because those beautiful apples on the counter may be for decor purposes only. And by the way, they taste terrible. Well, at least so I hear. We've all experienced that moment when we realize that things are just not what they seem. Jesus had one in Passion Week. The Bible records in Matthew 21 that while he was on his way to the Mount of Olives during what we now call Passion Week, Jesus sees a fig tree full of beautiful leaves. And well, that was a sign that it should be bearing fruit. But when he gets closer, there's just no fruit. See, the tree had all the outward signs of fruitfulness, but nothing was happening below that foliage. Jesus cursed the tree and it withered. And like the fig tree, many Israelites had all the outward signs of relationship with God, but were bearing no spiritual fruit. They were worried about what the Roman officials thought of them, and they were much more concerned about that than what God did. Accepting Jesus as the Messiah could create serious problems between themselves and the Roman government. I mean, Rome demanded its citizens and subjects to worship Caesar as God. To accept Jesus as God would be an act of ultimate defiance, and so it would have been easier to avoid conflict, ridicule, and even persecution by not outwardly accepting Jesus. I mean, following Jesus would be difficult and uncomfortable. Well, I don't know if you've drawn that parallel, but I certainly have, because that's how it is today. Following Jesus is always going to come at a cost. It's not always popular, and nor is it easy. Some folks are often willing to settle for a Jesus they find inoffensive, that meets their ideas, one that requires no real sacrifice or duty, a Jesus that is as artificial as the apples in Aunt Donna's fruit bowl. See, they want to seem like Christians and represent themselves as Christians, but they're not really following Christ, but they're following their own ideas and their own definitions of morality. The truth be told, we all know the difference between the real Jesus and the one the world has created. But the thing is, are we willing to settle for an imitation, or do we demand the real thing? Look, as much as I appreciate Splenda, when it comes to my Savior, I want the real McCoy, not a pale and tasteless imitation that demands nothing of me and probably at some point in the future will be bad for me. Well, Jesus teaches us that unshakable faith and fervent prayer and good and study and following the Lord's will. With those things, all things are possible. Look, a true believer is a servant and a follower willing to work diligently. Jesus wants us to have a real fruit-bearing faith in him and not simply go through the motions every day. So this morning, as we begin our day, we need to ask ourselves if we are wholeheartedly seeking to please God, seeking His will in our lives. I mean, we have to ask ourselves which matters most to us, the opinions of others or the opinion of God. When God looks at us, does He see us as being fruitful or just a pale imitation? Well, I don't know about you, but I don't want God to look down at me and in my heart and see a Splenda Christian. I mean, trust me, God can always tell the difference. And He's only interested in the real thing. No pale imitations for God. I hope you have a wonderful Wednesday. I need to remind you, of course, that there will not be our regular Bible study tonight. And, of course, I hope that you are ready and eager for Sunday morning's worship service. I look forward to that in our communion. And, as always, I want you to know that I'm here should you need me. I truly love you all, and I hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.